My fiancé slept with my groomsman. The night before our wedding, so I canceled everything and walked out, leaving her to face humiliation alone. I'm a 30-year-old guy, and I thought I was about to marry the love of my life. Her name was Jenna. We met 3.5 years ago at a friend's birthday party, and she walked in like a storm in a sundress, confident, warm, with this laugh that somehow hit me right in the chest. I was hooked from the start. And for a while, it really did feel like I had won the lottery. She made me feel seen, understood, wanted, all the things I didn't even know I craved. Our love story looked like something out of a rom-com. We traveled together, cooked elaborate meals on Sunday nights, and made each other Spotify playlists like we were still in high school. When I proposed to her in Barcelona, right on a cliff overlooking the water, she cried so hard I thought I'd broken her. But she said yes, and I swear, that was the happiest moment of my life. Planning the wedding became my full-time hobby. Jenna wanted a spring garden ceremony with hanging lights and soft jazz. I said yes to everything. I handled the venue, the caterer, the save the dates, the seating chart, even the guest hotel blocks. I didn't mind. I was proud to give her the day of her dreams. But lately, something had shifted. She wasn't cruel or cold, just distant, little things. She'd brush off my texts, laugh a little too loud at someone else's joke, pull away when I kissed her neck. I chalked it up to wedding stress. I mean, who doesn't get overwhelmed planning something this big? Still, there were moments I caught her staring off into space when I talked about our honeymoon, or how she flinched when I said, forever. I told myself not to overthink it. That she loved me. That we were just tired. I didn't know it yet, but I wasn't building a wedding. I was walking blindfolded toward a cliff. Looking back, the signs weren't just there. They were screaming at me. But when you love someone, you learn to turn down the volume on your gut just to keep the peace. Jenna always had this playful way of teasing people, sarcastic, sharp, but charming enough to get away with it. At first, when she made jokes about my best friend and groomsman, Kyle, calling him the hot one, or saying, "You should hit the gym with Kyle so your suit fits better," I laughed along. I thought it was just her being cheeky, but the jokes didn't stop. They got more suggestive. Once, while we were at a wine tasting with friends, Kyle made some offhand comment about not being ready for marriage, and Jenna leaned over to me and whispered, "Can you blame him? That man could have anyone." I remember the way it made my stomach twist. I tried to laugh it off, but something about her tone was different, like admiration dressed up as humor. Then came the texting. Late at night, her phone would buzz, and I'd glance over to see Kyle's name light up the screen. "Work stuff," she'd mumble. "Since when do you and Kyle have work stuff?" I asked one night, trying to keep my voice neutral. She rolled her eyes. "He's helping me coordinate the bachelor and bachelorette weekend, chill." I believed her. Because I wanted to. They started running errands together more often. Cake tastings, venue checks, even last-minute tux measurements. I asked if she wanted me to come, and she'd wave me off with, "You're already doing enough, babe. Let me handle this part." And I let her, because I thought letting her take control was love, because I thought Kyle was my brother, because I never thought betrayal could wear such a familiar face. But it was starting to scratch at the back of my mind. Something wasn't right. The night before the wedding was supposed to be the calm before the joy. That's what everyone says, right? The rehearsal dinner, the toasts, the laughter. It's the final breath before the leap. But for me, it was the first time I couldn't silence the storm inside. The restaurant was perfect. Candle-lit tables, wine flowing, laughter echoing off the walls. Everyone was buzzing with excitement. My mom gave a tearful toast, Jenna's maid of honor shared some college stories, and I stood beside Kyle, trying to feel grounded. He clapped me on the back with his usual grin, but something in his eyes felt slippery, like he was playing a part too well. Then I noticed it. Jenna and Kyle huddled close near the patio doors, whispering. She touched his wrist as she laughed. He leaned in too far. It lasted seconds, but my chest tightened. "Hey," I said when she walked back over. What was that about? She blinked. What? You and Kyle. Oh my God, she laughed, brushing it off. We were talking about your surprise gift tomorrow. Way to ruin it. She kissed my cheek quickly, too quickly. You really need to stop being so suspicious. I felt stupid for even asking, but I couldn't shake it. When the dinner ended, I was flooded with people hugging me, saying, "Can't wait for tomorrow," and, "She's a keeper, man." I smiled and nodded like a good groom. Jenna disappeared again, said she had to go over a few last-minute details with her maid of honor. Kyle had already vanished. I asked around casually, but no one seemed to know where he went. My dad pulled me aside and said, "You good, son?" I nodded. But my gut was screaming. I just didn't have the proof yet. I ended up back at my hotel room alone. I thought maybe a hot shower and some quiet would calm my nerves. The room felt too big, too quiet, like it knew something I didn't. I kept pacing, checking my phone, scrolling through old photos of Jenna and me, trying to remind myself why we were doing this. Then came the knock. It was one of the bridesmaids, tipsy, chatty, clearly not thinking straight. She plopped down on the armchair in my suite and giggled. "So, is it like tradition for the bride to sneak into the groomsman's room before the wedding?" I froze. "What did you just say?" Her eyes widened like she hadn't meant to say it out loud. "Oh, nothing. I mean, I'm sure it was just, look, maybe I shouldn't—" "Finish your sentence," I said, my voice cold. She looked down. "I saw Jenna go into Kyle's room. After the dinner, I figured maybe she was just venting, nerves and stuff." No, I didn't know. My heart dropped, not like a punch, more like a slow collapse from the inside out. I didn't scream, didn't throw anything. I just stood there, numb. She apologized and left, stumbling over her words. I didn't even notice. I drove straight to the hotel where Kyle and a few others were staying, sat in my car, waited. Minutes crawled by, then an hour, and then I saw her. Hair messy, shoes in her hand, slipping out of Kyle's room like a shadow. I didn't confront her. I didn't move. I just watched her walk away, glowing, careless, betraying everything we built. And in that moment, I realized I'd been in love with a stranger. I drove back to my hotel with shaking hands and a mind that wouldn't shut up. Everything felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's life fall apart from outside the glass. My fiancée, the woman I was going to vow forever to in less than 12 hours, had just walked out of another man's room. Not just any man. Kyle. My best friend. My brother in all but blood. I sat on the edge of the bed in my suit pants and dress shirt, staring at the carpet like it held answers. I kept thinking maybe I misread it, maybe she just needed to talk, but I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I saw her. I saw the way she adjusted her dress, the way she looked over her shoulder before slipping into the hallway. The betrayal wasn't loud, it was quiet. Quiet enough to make me question my own sanity. I played every moment back, the glances, the jokes, the late texts. My trust hadn't just been broken, it had been mocked. I wanted to scream, to storm into her room and demand answers, to call Kyle and ask him why, but I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I sat there all night, in silence, with rage crawling, under my skin and heartbreak tightening around my chest like a fist. At 3 a.m., I opened my laptop and stared at the wedding itinerary. Ceremony at Forearm, jazz quartet, garden arch, first dance to our song, Can't Help Falling in Love. The irony made me sick. I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror around dawn. My eyes were bloodshot. I looked like a man who'd just lost everything. But somewhere beneath that pain, a new thought started to take root. I don't have to go through with this. When the first rays of sunlight pushed through the curtains, I was still sitting at the edge of the bed. My phone buzzed beside me. Texts from my mom, my uncle, a couple of groomsmen, morning check-ins, excited countdowns. All of it felt like white noise. I knew what I had to do, and for the first time in hours, my hands stopped shaking. Not revenge. Not a scene. I wasn't going to give her, or Kyle, the satisfaction of drama. This wasn't about them anymore. It was about me, about walking away with whatever was left of my dignity. First, I called the officiant, told him the wedding was off. I didn't explain, just said there was a personal emergency and I wouldn't be attending. He was stunned but respectful. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "You're doing what's best." Next, I texted the venue manager and the wedding coordinator, told them to pause everything and not let anyone proceed with setup until further notice. Told them not to call Jenna, I would handle it. Then I packed. One by one, I folded my suit, my toiletries, my notes for vows that would never be read. I unplugged my phone, grabbed my keys, and slipped out before the hotel started buzzing with wedding day excitement. But before I left, I did one last thing. I drove to the bridal suite. I knew Jenna would be there within the hour. The room was still empty. The dress was hanging on the door, all white and delicate, like the lies she'd woven around me. I took out the envelope. Inside it, a note, not angry, just honest. I placed it gently on top of her dress, then I walked away, no goodbye, no second thoughts, no guilt, just silence. The note wasn't long. "Just enough to make the truth sting. You didn't just sleep with my groomsman. You slept with the one person I trusted more than anyone else in the world. You betrayed my love, my loyalty, and everything we built. The wedding is off. I won't be there. Don't contact me. I'm done, forever. No anger. No insults. Just truth, written with a hand that barely stopped trembling. I laid it neatly on the bodice of her dress, right where her heart would have been. Fitting, I guess, for something that was always missing. As I stood there in that hotel room, surrounded by untouched flower arrangements, bridesmaid robes still folded on the bed, and champagne bottles chilling for a celebration that would never happen, I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt hollow, like I was floating outside my own life. There was a soft knock on the door and I froze. It was early, but someone was coming. I didn't wait to find out who. I slipped out the back, down the service stairwell, and walked straight to my car. I turned my phone off. Completely off. No notifications, no calls. I didn't want to hear Jenna cry. I didn't want Kyle's fake apologies. I didn't even want my mom asking if I was okay. I didn't want anyone's voice polluting the silence I'd earned, driving away from that hotel. I didn't know where I was going, just that it couldn't be back. I didn't feel heroic. I didn't feel strong, but I did feel free. And for now, that was enough. I wasn't sure what would happen next, but I knew Jenna would walk into that suite expecting to become a bride and find only a note. I wasn't there to see it, but I've heard the stories. Too many, from too many people, each one layered with disbelief, gossip, and just the right amount of poetic justice. Guests started arriving at the venue around noon. Sunny skies, garden breeze, a picture-perfect setup, except nothing was ready. The chairs weren't arranged. The musicians weren't unpacking. The planner was nowhere to be seen. Jenna showed up in full glam, all smiles, expecting a room full of praise. She had no idea. One of the bridesmaids told me she walked into the bridal suite humming, already tipsy from mimosas. Then everything stopped. No music, no chatter, just silence. That's when she saw the note. I imagine she froze. Imagine her hand shaking as she picked it up. Imagine the dawning horror sweeping across her face as the words sank in. I've been told, she screamed. Threw the note. Demanded someone fix it. Tried to call me, repeatedly, but my phone stayed off. And then Kyle. God, he didn't even show up. Apparently, he checked out of his hotel that morning without a word and vanished. His tux untouched. His phone off. I don't know if he panicked or just wanted to avoid the fallout, but either way, he abandoned her too. That's when people started connecting dots. One of her cousins whispered too loudly, "Wait, is this because of Kyle?" Another guest muttered, "Did she cheat?" And then it was everywhere. Her father reportedly turned red in the face, stormed out of the suite and yelled, "What the hell did you do, Jenna?" Guests were asked to leave. Some demanded refunds on travel costs. Others took selfies in front of the shut-down venue for the drama of it. The day she thought she'd be adored and celebrated, she was exposed and alone, and I wasn't there to lift a single finger. You know what's wild? I never planned for revenge. I just wanted peace. But watching the fallout from a distance, it was something else entirely. Jenna's perfect image shattered. After the canceled wedding, everything spiraled. Her parents, who once treated her like a queen, were furious. They'd paid for half the ceremony. Thousands down the drain. Her dad called me a few days later. No yelling, no begging, just one sentence. "I'm sorry, son. You deserved better." I hung up in silence, but it meant more than I expected. Then came the rumors. Fast. Guests talked. Friends whispered. Screenshots started floating around. Text messages Jenna had sent Kyle that were a little too flirty. One bridesmaid admitted Jenna had joked during her bachelorette party, "If Kyle ever made a move, I wouldn't say no." People began piecing the puzzle together. Suddenly, I wasn't the heartbroken runaway groom. I was the guy who narrowly escaped a ticking bomb. And Kyle? He lost everything too. His long-term girlfriend dumped him immediately after the rumors hit. She posted a story that just said, "Cheaters never change. Good riddance." No names, but everyone knew. I stayed off social media, but friends kept me updated. Jenna tried to do damage control, claimed I had cold feet, that it wasn't about cheating. But too many people had seen her storm out of the bridal suite in full makeup, crying, holding my note. No one believed her. Mutuals stopped talking to her. The sympathy faded quickly, and the humiliation stuck. It wasn't loud. It wasn't violent, but it was public. And permanent, and the best part? I didn't even have to raise my voice. A few days after the disaster, I finally turned my phone back on. I don't know what I expected. Maybe a flood of missed calls, maybe radio silence. What I got was a tidal wave of messages. Family, friends, coworkers, even people I barely remembered from college. But one name made my stomach turn. Kyle. His first message. "Bro, please. Just talk to me." I kept scrolling. It wasn't what it looked like. "We were both drunk. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was going to tell you after the wedding. You're blowing this out of proportion." Each message made me feel sick, not just because of what he did, but because he still didn't get it. Still tried to minimize it. Still tried to play the victim in a story where he ripped out the foundation of a 20-year friendship. I didn't respond. I didn't delete the messages either. I wanted the reminder. Wanted to remember what betrayal looks like when it types with shaky hands. 2 days later, another message came. "You ruined both our lives. I hope you're happy." That one made me laugh. Really laugh. Out loud, for the first time in days. I ruined his life? He thought this was about him? I blocked his number, not out of rage, but because he no longer existed to me. The guy I grew up with? The one who used to sneak snacks into the movie theater and bail me out of trouble. That guy died the night he stepped into Jenna's room, and I wasn't about to let a ghost haunt me. A week later, just as I was beginning to feel the fog lift, her name appeared in my inbox. Subject line: "Please read this." I almost didn't, but curiosity, or maybe closure, got the better of me. I opened it. It was a wall of text, rambling, no structure, just emotion vomited into paragraphs I messed up. I know I did. I wasn't thinking clearly. The pressure, the stress, it got to me. I wasn't myself. You were always so perfect, so put together. I felt like I couldn't keep up, like I was already failing before the wedding even happened. Kyle didn't mean anything. It was stupid. A mistake. But it didn't mean I didn't love you. Then came the part that really twisted the knife. I thought you'd understand if you really loved me. People make mistakes. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. No real apology. Just guilt tripping dressed up as remorse. I sat there staring at the screen, waiting for something. Maybe an ounce of truth. Maybe an ounce of shame. But all I saw was someone more concerned with how she looked than what she'd done. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Instead, I forwarded the email to her father. No message. No explanation. Just the raw words of the daughter he'd raised. An hour later, I got a single text from him. "You made the right call." I stared at those words for a long time, and for the first time since everything fell apart. I felt proud of myself for walking away. I thought the story was over. I thought I could start piecing myself back together quietly, in peace. But then, a month later, I got a call from Sarah, one of Jenna's old bridesmaids. We hadn't spoken since the fallout. I almost ignored it. But something about her calling instead of texting made my stomach drop. "Hey," she said, voice tight. "I figured you should hear this from someone who doesn't want anything from you." I braced myself. She's pregnant. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. It felt like someone had reached into my chest and pulled everything out. Sarah rushed to explain, said Jenna was telling people she might be 2 months along. That she wasn't sure if it was mine or Kyle's. That sentence hung in the air like a ticking bomb. Mine. Or Kyle's. I didn't even know what to feel. Anger? Fear? Pity? Sarah told me Jenna looked a mess. Her parents were barely speaking to her. Kyle had ghosted her completely. He didn't want to be involved if the baby was his and wasn't answering calls. Jenna was clinging to the idea that maybe I'd step up, that maybe I'd do the right thing. The right thing? After everything? I asked Sarah to stop updating me. Told her it wasn't my business anymore. I had no interest in going back, even if that child turned out to be mine, which, deep down, I knew it wasn't. But that night, alone in my apartment, I felt a wave of emotions I wasn't ready for. Rage, grief, guilt. What if I had stayed? What if I'd married her? Would I be raising Kyle's kid completely in the dark? That thought nearly broke me, but it also reminded me, thank God I walked away when I did. You'd think that after dodging a bullet, after exposing 2 liars and walking away clean, I'd feel victorious, but I didn't. After the initial chaos settled and people stopped talking, I was left with something much worse than anger: silence. For the first time in my adult life, I didn't know who I was anymore. I wasn't someone's fiancé. I wasn't Kyle's best friend. I wasn't planning a life or a wedding or a future. I was just a guy in a dark apartment sitting on a couch that still had her throw pillows on it, trying to breathe. I stopped going out. Ghosted my friends. Ignored texts that said, "You okay, man?" and "Let's grab a beer." Because the truth was, I wasn't okay. I kept replaying everything in my head. Not the betrayal, but all the tiny moments leading up to it. The signs I ignored. The instincts I buried. The parts of myself I pushed aside to keep the peace. And the question that haunted me more than any of it, was I boring? Was I too safe, too predictable? Was that why she cheated? Did Kyle offer her some kind of spark I couldn't? I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the guy staring back. My skin looked dull, my eyes tired. I hadn't shaved in days. I started to wonder if I even had anything to offer anyone. There was a moment, one night around 2 a.m., where I found myself holding an old wedding photo from our engagement shoot. My hand was trembling. I wanted to tear it up, burn it, scream, but I didn't. I just sat there because I'd hit rock bottom, and there was nothing left to break. Rock bottom doesn't come with fireworks. It's quiet, numb, like waking up underwater and realizing you forgot how to swim. But one morning I made my bed. That's it. Just pulled the sheets tight, fluffed the pillows, and stood there for a second. And I swear that tiny act, that one decision to not live like a ghost, was the first breath back to life. I didn't jump into self-improvement. I didn't post motivational quotes or hit the gym like I was chasing revenge. I just started showing up. To therapy, to myself, to the mirror. My therapist Rachel didn't tell me what to do. She just listened. She didn't flinch when I said I felt like a failure, or that I sometimes miss Jenna, even after everything. One session I told her, I don't know who I am without the version of me that was planning a wedding. She looked at me and said, maybe now's your chance to find out. So I started small. I picked up painting again, something I hadn't done since college. I went for walks without music, just letting my mind wander. I unfollowed people who reminded me of the life I lost and reconnected with an old friend who used to make me laugh until my stomach hurt. I started cooking for one. And then, weirdly enough, enjoying it. It didn't happen all at once. Healing never does. But one night I caught myself humming while folding laundry. It hit me like a whisper. I'm okay, not perfect. Not fully healed, but okay. And that was more than I'd hoped for. A year passed, quietly. No major milestones. No big declarations. Just steady healing. Then, out of nowhere, I got another message from Jenna. Her name blinking on my phone felt like a ghost tapping on my shoulder. The text was simple. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, But can we talk? I stared at it for a long time. Not because I wanted to respond, but because I didn't feel anything. No anger, no curiosity, no urge to ask why. I clicked on her profile. She looked different, tired, a single mom now. No ring, no Kyle. Just her child, and a string of vague captions about growth and lessons. I closed the app, didn't reply. Didn't block her either, just left her in that little bubble where people who burned you live. Not enemies, not friends, just reminders. Instead, I opened Instagram and posted a photo from my solo trip to Oregon. Me, standing at the edge of a cliff, ocean roaring behind me, hair messy, smile real. Caption said, "Peace isn't found in closure. It's found in boundaries," the comments flooded in. Old friends, cousins, even my barber. Proud of you, man. Comeback of the year. That's what healing looks like. I didn't need to say her name. I didn't need to drag the past back into the present. I was done trying to understand her. I had finally understood myself. People always imagine revenge as some big, cinematic moment, shouting in public, exposing cheaters, burning it all down. But for me, the loudest thing I ever did was leave without a word, no dramatic confrontation, no begging for answers, no second chances. I simply stepped out of a life that had been built on lies and let the silence do the rest. I spent so long believing love was about sacrifice, about showing up even when it hurt, about proving yourself worthy of someone else's broken pieces. But now, I know that real love, healthy love, doesn't require you to bleed just to feel seen. Jenna and Kyle never got their apology tour. Because I owed them nothing, they showed me who they were. And I finally believed them. People still ask me if I ever regret canceling the wedding, if I miss her, if I wonder what life could have been like if I just forgave her, moved past it. No, because I did move past it, just not in the way they mean. I moved past the version of me who tolerated half-love, who excused emotional distance, who made peace with crumbs when he deserved a feast, and I built a life from the ground up, one that no one else gets to wreck. A life full of slow mornings, unfiltered laughter, and relationships that feel like home, not performance. So to anyone sitting in silence, wondering if walking away makes them weak, let me say this: walking away without yelling, without explaining, without needing validation, it's not weakness, it's power. And sometimes disappearing is the loudest thing you'll ever do.